let's talk a little bit about shadow work, and about spirituality, and about why should we do all of this? I mean, what's the point, right? What's the point in diving deep into stuff that you may not want to know, right? Why would we even do that? Why would we go there? Why would we start and possibly lose so many things that once were good enough for us, right? Good enough for us. If we meet the first time, my name is Patricia. I'm a certified life coach, and what we do here is we create an awareness to show you more of who you are, because from that place you can grow and be more in a happy place. And so this is what is my aim here on this channel. So I do hope this is going to help you all. If you do like it, then subscribe, comment, share. And with that said, let's dive into today's video. So shadow work is, let's simplify this really. I mean, it's overused, definitely. So shadow work is just what you cannot see, what is not in your field, what is in the unconscious, what is not in your awareness, right? Everything that you don't know why you act a certain way, why you feel a certain way, goes in that direction where you could potentially work on that. And I'm saying it like this: you could potentially work on your shadows, because imagine you are a container, and in that container you have limited space, right? I mean, there are limited capacities that we can hold. And so yes, we can expand, but sometimes before we can start to put more stuff in, new things, right? Happy things, things that bring us joy, we have to empty things out. And so I believe that that's what we have to do initially. We have to look into what is it that makes us slow down. And I don't mean in a good way slow down. I mean, what is it that makes us slow down to not be motivated to step into our fullness, to step into totally who we are, right? To be seen, to be acknowledged, to be heard, but not in like not in that false self, not in that trauma thing, right? Not where we believe we are something that we are actually not. You see, many people are behaving a certain way because they've got a lot of trauma thing ongoing, and it's still ongoing after 30, 40, 50 years, and it's still playing out. You know, sometimes you can see that in your mom or in your dad. They react the same way than they have been reacting like years ago, and you're like, why are you not over that yet? Well, because it takes work, because it's not it's not a learned behavior to actually follow up with your emotions. And your emotions are so helpful. You are able to tap into your emotions and release them fully from your body. So actually that trauma is not as much in your face anymore. And you know, how often have you actually done or reacted, responded to certain situations? Let's take a man, right? You've always dated the same man, probably abused you. This is just an example. Abused you, and your kind of trauma is that you've never got the love that you were seeking, and you thought that if you're doing enough, if you're showing him enough of your worth, then you are getting this love that you need. And it never happened, right? Never happened. However, you are always walking at the same kind of or type of person, right? Type of man or type of woman. You always follow the same kind of rules that you have been since ages. And so what happens is that you start to become more aware that you are following some kind of patterns, some kind of trauma response to heal that pattern, to heal something that is hidden. And if we are looking into those fields, then we can actually start seeing, okay, maybe there is a possibility here for me to reveal more of that trauma. And I think as well, trauma is such a big word, right? It's just something that has hurt you, and it's something that you want to release. I mean, we want to release suffering, we want to release pain, but sometimes pain feels so comfortable because we know how that feels. And what if we are taking off a huge chunk and actually start to feel into that hole of nothingness, right? Well, what is going to come afterwards? What is going to come when I let actually someone in my life that will just love me the way I am without me needing to do anything specifically, right? I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to show my worth anywhere, right? I'm not looking into that. And obviously, that guy who I just referred has also his own issues, right? It's a dynamic, right? He's also seeking for something, and it's not healthy. And you may recognize that. You may recognize this is not a healthy behavior, but it's difficult to step out of that circle. How do you step out of something that you know, just by talking, you know it's not really good for you, but you are like, this is love, this is, this is how I want to make, how I want to feel. Well, understanding your emotions, that sometimes your emotions are not trustworthy, and just because it feels good in the moment doesn't mean it's in your highest good. Have you ever been in such a loving kind of place and you thought, this is love, and then maybe years later you started to recognize, hey, actually, I think it was just attached to a belief, attached to his body, her body. I was just looking for love and didn't know how that looks like, right? I didn't know how that looks like, and so I thought it's love, but actually it's not. And this is exactly the same. It could be some other abuse that you have felt over the years, and you start to see, okay, the way how I live is not anymore ideal, and there is possibilities, okay? Possibilities that I could change. You can change. We can all change and actually let more support into our life that help us to clean these patterns out. I feel like I've worked so long on my patterns, maybe 10 years or so, like really, really long. And sometimes when I meet clients, they're like, how long does it gonna take? I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know how long you are going to hold on to things, how long you are unwilling to let go, or it needs time to be seen. Sometimes it needs time for you to get ready to see it because it's confronting. It's not an easy task to move into that field of sorrow, anxiety, nervousness, frustration, anger. They're heavy emotions that are going through your body, and you have to actually feel it. You have to feel it before you can let it go. And afterwards, the real work starts, because once you have been in coaching sessions with me, you need to prove yourself that you have been able to follow through the process that is just following now, that is about, am I choosing new now? But I don't know what's coming out when I choose new. I don't know if this situation, this new job that I'm going to take, I don't know if that is better. But see, it's not always about better, it's about what serves most. And when we start to look into those fields, what is it that serves most for you? It's not always what your cognitive mind would take. I mean, I've done jobs that I would not have done if I really didn't have to, right? I wouldn't have done them, right? I wouldn't have done that, but the thing was, it was actually really, really good for me. Really, really good. It brought me into peace, and I could actually recover from so many jobs that were so heavy on me, and I could recover. So I would have never chosen them, but they were good for me to call this body home. And I feel that many people are looking for, what does it mean to come home, to be home in our body, to really sink in to your heart. How does that work? How can I jump into my body again? How can I be more confident? How can I speak my truth? If I'm super nervous, if I'm super angry, you can't. You know why? Because you're putting on the plate so much trauma, so much heavy stuff that you cannot clearly see. And because you're not able to clearly see, you have to do this shadow work. You have to look into the unconscious things. And then you will start to see that when you're starting to work with spirit, you start to see that this world is way bigger than you thought. You start to see and feel way more than you initially thought would be possible. Like I can feel spirit right now. And so there is so many layers to this, right? It's not just I'm working a little bit on shadow work and it's a bit woo-woo and I'm doing it. It changes your life. It changes your life to have a coaching session with the right people, who can help you, who can support you. It changes you because you are moving into more of who you are. And if you're moving more into who you are and you leave the stuff out that isn't you, that never belonged to you, that came from your past, from your ancestors, from generational trauma, and you are just behaving like this because that's just how you did in your family all the time, and you're still playing out, this whole thing is still playing out in your field, then you actually have to be able to clear that, because that helps you to grow into a new direction, being open to move into a new direction of where do we want to go next? What do we want to do next? What is it that will fulfill me when I could choose? But I'm not choosing from a place of hurt, from pain, right? I'm not choosing because, oh my gosh, if I'm not doing this, I cannot pay my bills, right? I'm choosing as a sovereign being. And when we start to choose from a sovereign being, life gets easier because we are not looking around like frightened all the time. We are not anxious. We are precise, we are clear, we are confident, and we go and walk the path. It's very, very different if we walk the path towards our truth. And this could be today, I need to rest. This could be tomorrow, I'm going on a party, right? It could be very, very different things. It could be, I need to I don't know, I need to move on from this relationship because we came to a point where there is no more growth. All we are doing is we are holding each other back. We are not moving on anymore. Or, hey, this is absolutely stunning. We are blossoming together. Let's see if we can dive into these chapters more. But you can only dive into expansion and all of that when you've cleared out a little bit, right? For me, it was very, very dark. And with dark, I don't mean good and bad. I mean dark in a sense. It was very stuffed with a lot of trauma. A lot of things were going on in my unconscious. And I had a lot of beliefs about myself and who I am. And it took me a while to release them. It doesn't need to be for you. But as I said, I cannot tell you how long it's going to take. What I can tell you is that with repetition and with constant moving through things, right? And I don't mean like, hey, share the story with me again and again and again. No, it is more about let's look into the future. And whenever we are in the future, we make a step back to see what is the pull to hold you back. And when you start to understand that part, it's way easier because you have a goal. You are not actually in the healing circle all the way. And you don't have to do this for years and years and decades, whatever. But the truth is, your subconscious will always, or your shadow will always be there. You will always have to do more here, okay? You will always have to be able, or you always have to do more on expansion, right? It goes in both sides, but I feel like sometimes people are really about, it's so much healing work to do. I'm like, why don't you go into the other side too? Because you could find way more balance here. Why is no one sharing that you need to be able to go into expansion and then go into contraction and then go into expansion and then go into contraction? Because this is how this life here works. And so it's not everything about the heights, but it's not everything about the lows either. Okay? Finding balance in yourself is key. Finding balance in spirit, in emotional intelligence, in mental intelligence, right? You cannot always follow what your mental mind is chatting all the time, because sometimes, depending on what you have done the whole day, you might be pretty mean to yourself. If you will believe all of that, and if you cannot hold yourself back, you're constantly faced with something inside of you that is actually pulling you down. And this is what I faced, right? And I wasn't aware of that at all. I thought that all of this is coming only from the outside, but I actually internalized it. I internalized the bad things that I was hearing about myself. I'm not good enough. I'm not intelligent. I have this, I have that. I internalized that. And so if you're doing the same thing, we have to work on that, right? Getting it out of our system. And meanwhile, hey, let's already see what is possible. Let's already go into the heights, right? We go into the depths, but we go into the heights. We go into the light, into something that is more joyful, right? To treat ourselves nicely, to feel good about ourselves is so crucial, because you need to laugh, you need to feel good about yourself, and having a good time. Having a good time is really, really essential. Like, really. Okay? So, with that said, thank you so much for being here. If you're looking for a one-on-one, then please check down below the description box. There is currently a 3-session coaching available. If you want to try that, then email me at contact@patricia-wall.com. I repeat, contact@patricia-wall.com. Send me an email. What is your query? What is the topic you want to work on? This is a one-time offer only, so you can only choose once to do that. And with that said, I would say Thanks so much, and I speak and hear you soon. Bye bye.